Hirsch.
Hey, there you are. How you doing, bro?
I'm doing good, brother. How are you today?
Fantastic.
A real pleasure to have you, an honor.
Thank you, man. Good to be here. Where are you located right now?
I'm in India.
No way.
Yes, I am.
Man, what time is it in India? It must be
Oh,
middle of the night or is it?
it's 9:30 in the night.
Oh, okay.
Wonderful. So how's your day so far, Hirsch?
Well, my day's great so far. I've done a couple interviews this morning and I'm here in my recording studio just getting ready to chat with you, my friend.
Awesome, 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 Hirsch. So Hirsch, your third Times a Charm album is to be out on November 22nd. So would you like to tell me a bit on the songwriting and production that goes behind this new album?
Sure. I started the album probably a couple of years ago now. I'm not in a rush to get all my albums done. This is my third album, and there's like a long period of time in between the albums because I'm still producing and doing all the other things that I do in my life. So I finished, 10 or 11 songs, all originals, and they were. I was very pleased with the way they all turned out, and the idea of doing six New England songs came about a few years ago. Jimmy Waldo, my keyboard player in New England, we were in Los Angeles in a recording studio. And, we were just getting the drums all set up and the keyboards. We were actually waiting for John Fannin and Gary Shea to arrive in Los Angeles because we had some gigs in LA and then we were off to Japan. So Jimmy and I were in the studio and we figured, okay, well, let's do a test run with the equipment. So we said, okay, well, let's play Don't Ever Want to Lose You because that was our, big hit song and, we knew it well. So we recorded the drum tracks and Jimmy's keyboard tracks. And we said, okay, everything sounds real cool. And then I just uploaded the tracks to my cloud. And about a year and a half ago, I'm in the middle of, recording my new album. And I came across these old tracks that Jimmy and I recorded. And I'm listening to them and I go, man, this stuff sounds incredible. The drums sounded great. Jimmy's keyboards, of course. And so I was so inspired, I grabbed my guitar and I played the guitar tracks for Don't Ever Want to Lose You. And by the way, those are not the final tracks that you hear on the new song. That's somebody else. I'll get to that in a minute. And then I recorded the lead vocals. And of course, John Fannin sang the original lead vocal and it was in my range. So I sang the lead vocal and did all the background vocals, multi-layered vocals, the way New England would record them in the old days. And the song just sounded so amazing that I figured, well, maybe I'll put this on the album because in my previous two albums, I've always done a cover song that I've wanted to do as a tribute to some of my favorite artists. I think my last album had Whiter Shade of Pale by Gary Wright, which I absolutely love that song. And my first album had, oh God, well, I'll get to that later, but it's oh man, I can't remember the name of that song. That's bad of me. But anyway, so I'm working with Chris Laney on the new album. Chris Laney is the guitar player, keyboard player for Pretty Maids, one of my all-time favorite bands. And Chris and I met each other, on the internet about 4 or 5 years ago. It was great, and we worked together on some songs. So I sent him the tracks to Don't Ever Want to Lose You, and he re-recorded all of the guitar tracks. Of course, mine were all crappy, but his were amazing. He sent me back the track, and it just blew my mind how great the song sounded. So, okay, this song's got to be on the album. And then I started to revisit some of the other New England songs that I played a major role in, either songwriting or being the lead singer. As John and I were both lead singers in the band. And so I came across, so I laid down the tracks for She's Gonna Tear You Apart, which is a song that I wrote on the third album. And that turned out great. So I sent that to Chris Laney and he recorded all the guitar tracks on that, which turned out amazing. And of course, Hello, Hello, which was our second single in New England. So then now I've got 3 New England songs on the record. I figured, well, why stop here? And there was a song that was never released on any of the first three New England albums. It was called I'm Not Down. And that song was slated to be on our fourth album, which never came out. So I figured, I'm going to record that because I just love that song. Gary Shea wrote that and just did a great job on that song. And of course, Nothing to Fear was one of New England's most favorite songs. Fans loved it. On Nothing to Fear, on my previous album, My Brain Needs a Holiday, I had Ron Bumblefoot Thal play on one of the songs. Of course, we all know who Ron is. Sons of Apollo. He replaced Slash in Guns N' Roses. And he's a dear friend. We've known each other for several years. But so I sent Ron my rough tracks of Nothing to Fear on a Tuesday, like a Thursday or Friday. He sent me back about 40 guitar tracks. And I put it all together, and it just was amazing. He just did such a great job. So that's how it all came about, where I've got, so out of the 10 or 11 songs that I wrote, I've got 6 that I chose that were my favorite songs. And then, of course, the 6 New England songs, and there's your 12-song album. So that's how that all came to be.
Beautiful, beautiful, Hirsh. And I had the pleasure to listen to the entire album. So each and every song is totally mind-blowing. The new 6 songs and the ones from New England, everything. It's like going back to the early 80s and listening to this awesome music of New England again. So fantastic work. And thank you so much for bringing back the good old music again back into the scene. So thanks for all this awesomeness. And how do you feel about bringing out this album? Do you feel something special having both of these together in this album?
Absolutely, yeah. It's just, it was never my ambition to like keep putting out solo albums, but I'm a songwriter and I'm here in my recording studio now. And if I lay down a drum track that I really like the beat to it, then I'll play on my piano and I'll put down some chords, and all of a sudden it'll develop into a song. So these songs are really special because I think that you hit the nerve, and this is kind of the 80s music is so melodic and so rich and full of, the background vocals are big and fat. Guitar tracks are, 4 to 6 overdubs for each rhythm guitar. I just love that style of music, and I really think that it's got a place in today's market. And it's interesting, when I listen to bands like YET or from Europe or Pretty Maids, who are ultimately one of my favorite bands, those guys are bringing back that 80s sound and the 80s production ideas that were so prevalent back then. And, when grunge took over, a lot of the production ideas that we had developed from the early days, the band started stripping all that sound out. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but it was certainly different than what we were used to recording. Now, with the material that I'm doing and writing and recording and producing, I really want to revisit those recording techniques because I think they're wonderful. Sonically, they're amazing. I love the sound. And Chris Laney, who mixed most of the songs on the album for me, did such an amazing job. Also, Bob St. John, who produces and engineers for Extreme. Bob, excuse me. Bob and I have been friends for many, many, many years. I asked him to mix a couple of the songs. So sonically, the album sounds great. I think it's a tribute to what we did back in the 80s that we're bringing back these types of sounds.
Beautiful, beautiful, Hirsh. And 2 weeks back, you put up the first single from this album and the New England single as well, Don't Ever Wanna Lose Ya. And the video that you made just took back to the early 80s again, has the same vintage touch to the video. So would you like to tell me a bit on the making of this video?
Yeah, it's that the whole idea was to put in that nostalgic look at what we did back then. And even a lot of the shots that are in the video are from my newer band, the Hirsh Gardner Project. And so we've got, the old band from 79, 80, those videos through there. We've got some of my new band featured in the background. And of course, my good friend, Steve Serra, who is the lead guitar player and singer for the band Axminster. You should look them up. They're amazing. Steve owns a video recording company. And so he did all of the green screen shots of me today. And the editor put all of those green screen shots into the film with all the nostalgic look in the background. I thought it was pretty cool. You know, Don't Ever Want to Lose You was a top 40 hit single on Billboard, and it was the #1 most added record in the country when it came out in the summer of '79. I really felt that this song needed to be revisited and introduced to a whole new market of people, of rock and roll fans, because it's such a classic song. And I don't really believe that it got its due back in '79. We were all expecting it to be a top 10 hit single, and a bunch of things happened with the record company where actually the record company that we were on folded right in the middle of our record. So that kind of hurt us. But Don't Ever Want to Lose You is such an amazing song. John Fannin wrote that. Probably one of the best songs that he's ever written, and did a great job. The song just needed to be introduced to a new group of people, and that's why I did that.
Fantastic, fantastic. And are you planning to come up with more videos or singles before the release of the album?
Oh, well, I don't think we're going to put out a single before the album comes out. The album comes out on November 22nd, which is like 2 weeks away.
Yeah.
So, we're going to give Don't Ever Want to Lose You some more legs. We'll get it out there. I'd love to see it played on a lot of the radio stations. Here in the States, iHeartRadio, they really don't do much in terms of playing new music. But there's a lot of independent radio stations that would love to get a hold of Don't Ever Want to Lose You and play it. And I'm hoping that that's what happens, so that, more listeners get a chance to hear that great song. So the album's coming out on the 22nd. We've talked about maybe doing another video. Maybe I'll do Nothing to Fear,
Beautiful.
which is a great song.
Yeah.
And, we'll see how that turns out.
Fantastic, fantastic. And any big plans on the day of the release?
Actually, a friend of mine is going to take a whole bunch of us out to dinner, and I think he bought like 20 copies of the CD, and he's going to basically give them to me to give out to all of my friends. So that's the big thing. I don't think, we've not really planned a big record release party. I think it's more for the folks that are, spread across the world that will get a chance to hear this new album and purchase it.
Fantastic. And speaking on the touring, are you having some big international touring plans for 2025?
Always working on the Hirsh Gardner project, which is my current band. We don't have anything in the works right now for tour, but that's always a possibility. And there's always a ton of local gigs that, people recognize who I am locally in Boston. So, we get asked quite often to do some gigs. So yeah, we'll probably look into that.
Fantastic, fantastic. And Hirsh, are you planning to have some cool merchandise for the fans?
Yeah, you know what? www.Deko Entertainment, so that's DEKO Entertainment. They've got a whole page for Hirsh Gardner set up, and they've got albums, vinyl, CD packages. They've got a bunch of autographed pictures of New England. They've got a bunch of autographed pictures of myself. And there were a couple of packages that were very rare. There were only like 1 or 2 items that we had signed as a whole band. So those are all on sale at decoentertainment.com. And so please take a visit, and hopefully you'll buy an album or two and enjoy it.
Fantastic, fantastic. And Hirsh, I know it's an odd question to ask you, but since you are working more on, in this album in particular, work more on the classic New England music again. So is there a possibility of you, John, Jimmy Waldo and Gary Shaw joining together again to come up with a new New England album again?
Well, we've talked about it, and nothing has come to fruition yet. And Jimmy and Gary are involved with Alcatraz, and they're basically all over the world right now. So getting everybody together and putting an album, doing an album project, you're looking at probably 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months. And right now, so we're all spread out all over the country. John lives down in North Carolina. Jimmy's in Chicago. Gary's in Florida, and I'm here up in Boston. So, just the logistics of putting something together are difficult, but, we'll see what happens in the future. I know that all of us are always, writing and performing and playing, so anything's possible.
Absolutely beautiful. And Hirsch, you are an amazing person. You are a multi-instrumentalist, you are a vocalist, you are a drummer, you are a record producer, you're doing a lot of things. So how do you feel about the years of great things that you have done over the years, and how do you feel the road that you have traveled so far?
Um, no regrets. Um, Things could have we were all hoping that New England would have reached that altitude, that level of success. And a friend of mine told me a long time ago, geez, how can you feel, any regrets, because you got to play Madison Square Garden, you got to tour the world, and probably 99.9% of the bands out there don't get to do that. So, I've done I've been very successful with the band New England. I was a record producer for many, many years. I still do that, and I've won awards at the Boston Music Awards, Producer of the Year. I was just inducted into the New England Music Hall of Fame here in the Boston, New England area. So, it's kind of what I do. It's just, it's a craft that every day that before, we did this interview, I was doing a phone interview earlier, and in between the two interviews, I just sat down at my piano over here and started, singing a couple of songs. So it's kind of what I do. And I love doing it. It's just, it's in my blood. A lot of times I figure, well, maybe I should retire and, just take it easy, but nah, not going to do that. Not going to do that, man. So I always got my trusty little guitar handy so I can do all kinds of cool stuff. Let's see if I can do this here.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah. Don't ever want to lose you. Don't ever want to lose you. Don't ever want to lose you. There you go, man.
Fantastic, fantastic. Thank you, Hirsch. And Hirsch, I know there has been amazing, wonderful moments over the years. So since you went back to the 1979, to your debut album, so do you have some fond memories from that point of time?
From which point in time are you talking about now?
1979, when it all started.
Man, we so many great memories from touring with New England. Madison Square Garden, playing, opening for Kiss was amazing. Meeting some of my favorite, rock stars out there, and just being on stage, watching Phil Rudd from AC/DC from the side of the stage. For me, it was like such an education to be working beside the most famous rock stars in the world. I mean, we toured with Kiss, AC/DC, Journey, Kansas, Styx, Cheap Trick. I mean, the list is just goes on and on. So just about every time, every performance that we did was an amazing time. A cool story that's kind of happy and sad. A friend of mine, Pantera's, favorite band. They just rocked and killed it. And Aaron, who was their road manager, was a good friend of mine. So he called me up. This was years ago. He called me up and said, "Hey, Pantera's playing, in Massachusetts. Would you like to come see the show and meet up with me?" So I did. And after the show, he takes me back to the dressing room, and I met Vinnie Paul.
Oh.
And Vinnie was such a great guy. He was very gracious, nice guy. And then he says, "Do you want to meet Dimebag?" I said, "Hell yeah." So he took me over, and as I'm walking up to Dimebag, he points at me. He's going, "Hey, you're Hirsh Gardner from the band New England, right?" I was like, "Whoa, this guy knows who I am? That's amazing." So Dime and I had a really, really nice conversation for, 5 or 10 minutes, and he was a big fan of the band. He told me at that meeting that in 1979 he saw us play with Journey and AC/DC in Fort Worth, Texas.
Wow.
And he said that was just when he was starting to play guitar. And he said he was so inspired by what he saw that night that he wanted to be a rock star.
Wow.
And lo and behold, look what happened to him. And that was such a great meeting. Years later, and this was after Dimebag passed away, I found an interview that he had done where he had actually mentioned that gig that he was at and that he was so inspired. So it's kind of like, wow, that, that really, really happened. And so those are some of the amazing moments, but there's like a million stories like that I was able to, witness and be part of. It was a great time to be in a rock and roll band.
Beautiful, beautiful, Hirsch. And Hirsch, are you helping new bands that are coming up, or do you give some words of advice to any new bands lately?
I'm more of a classic guy. I'll listen to anything that has quality melodies, quality production, quality music. I don't care if it's Beyonce or Taylor Swift. It doesn't have to be rock and roll. Miley Cyrus is blowing me away these days. Every time I see her doing a cover of somebody's song, did you see her do the Led Zeppelin stuff?
Yeah.
Blew my mind. So there are artists out there nowadays, especially some of the younger kids. The talent is just blowing my mind. The other night I was just cruising through Facebook and I saw this 9-year-old little Asian girl who was playing drums. It just blew me away. It's like, you got to be kidding me. When did she start playing drums? Like at 2, So yeah, there's just so much new talent out there that is so far beyond the level that we achieved, and it's always a joy to see that happening. So that's pretty cool.
Amazing, amazing. And apart from the Hirsch project, do you have other bands or other projects that you're currently working on?
Well, right now I've given up a lot of the stuff that I was working on because I want to focus on helping promote this album, which is, of course, what we're doing today. So as many interviews as I can do to promote this album, and anybody that makes comments on my pages, whether it be my my website or the Facebook or any of the social media pages, I comment back to everybody that comments. So there's hundreds of people that are, watching my video and commenting on the songs that they're hearing. And I thank everybody and get back to them. And I say to them, I'm not ashamed. I say, hey, please support my music and go to www.dekoentertainment.com. And, if you choose to pick up my album or my CD. Nowadays, it's different than it was in the old days where you had CBS Records and they had their whole promotion department. Basically, between myself and Deko, we're promoting the record. And so that's where I'm putting all of my efforts right now. For the next couple of months, I'm just going to be putting out video snippets of how a song came to be. I think I'm working on a new video snippet of Holding Out on Me, which is going to feature all the players in the band.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I'm doing right now. That's where I'm focusing my efforts today.
Amazing, 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 Hirsch. And just for curiosity, Third Time's a Charm, what is the story behind it?
Good question. So this is my third solo album. And I was really stuck on getting a title for the album. It's like, should I name it, Reach Out for Love, or should I, All I Want? None of the song titles that I have here made any sense. And so I just started toying with 3 triangle, triple, third time. And as soon as I get Third Time's a Charm, wow, that's really great. But I thought Third Time's a Charm was a little light.
Yeah.
I wanted something a little bit more powerful, but I ended up choosing Third Time's a Charm because it is, isn't it? I think this is the best album that I've done. I think that the players that I have playing on this album, which include, Bumblefoot, Chris Laney, my guitar player and keyboard player, Joe Filoni, and David Sumner. This is the best that I've done. So Third Time, hopefully it'll be a charm, right?
Absolutely, absolutely, Hirsch. Fantastic. And Hirsch, finally, any message that you have for the fans around the world?
I love my fans. And I love the fact that people, I mean, it just means so much to me that somebody's actually taking a minute to listen to one of my songs and comment on that. And I guess that's the greatest gift you can have as a musician, is to have somebody come back to you and go, "Hey man, I really love what you're doing. It sounds great." That means more than most people know. And people come up to me on the street, "Hey Hirsch, how you doing? I love your album. You know, what's going on?" So thank you to all the fans out there that are supporting my music and supporting New England in the past, and means a lot. It means a whole lot. So thank you again.
Fantastic. And Hirsch, I want to thank you so much for giving me today this amazing opportunity to have you on this interview. And I want to thank you so much for putting up this awesome album, Third Time's a Charm. Like I said earlier, I'm totally loving each and every song from this album, and have to thank you for the years and decades of musical awesomeness that you have been giving to the rock fraternity around the world. So thanks for everything you are doing, and you're looking for more great, awesome music from you. And hopefully someday I can see you on the road.
Well, I hope so. And if I could just say thank you to you and to folks like yourself that are doing podcasts and interviewing musicians, because, you know, we need it more now than ever before. And you're doing a great service for all of us. And I appreciate you, man. I really do. Thank you.
Thank you, Hirsch. Thanks very much, and take care, my friend. See you soon.
Bye-bye. Thank you.